Hey, what's going on? It's my name is Pro, and today we are going to do another reaction of the review. This is the Pioneer DJ XDJ-XZ. In case y'all wondering, this is the predecessor of the XDJ-AZ. The XDJ-XZ is the basically all-in-one controller with the CJ-2000 Nexus 2 and the DGM-900 Nexus 2. So, and also the screen is smaller, kind of like, it's basically like the CJ-2000 Nexus 2, so yeah. Oh, and by the way, in case y'all wondering, I turned my camera off because these past couple videos I've been, every time I try to record a camera, eventually it's just freeze, and I'm not going to deal with that. Yeah, so here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Pioneer DJ XDJ-XZ, the 4-channel all-in-one unit that wears both the Recordbox logo and the Serato logo. Is this the product we've all been waiting for? Let's find out. Hi, Jamie Hartley here at Crossfader, and today we're reviewing the Pioneer DJ XDJ-XZ. Now, even though it's got a new name, it's basically the upgrade of the Pioneer XDJ RX2 with a few extra things going on. For example, we've got the Serato logo alongside the Recordbox logo yet again in this release. Recently we had the XP2, which was an add-on controller with both logos on, and I hope to see both logos on future product releases, and this is a sign of hopefully things to come. Now, this is a 4-channel all-in-one unit, but before I get into this review, I just want to clear something up. It has 4 channels, but if you're a USB DJ, to access channels 3 and 4, you will need some sort of external players like extra CDJs or XDJs to access all 4 channels in standalone mode.
That was making sense. Like I would rather use CDJs rather than get an extra XDJ controller, because in my opinion that's like totally unoriginal. And I'm sorry, I've been up since 2. So yeah. And again, this is the XDJ, this is the XDJ-XZ, and the other thing is that it's 4-channel. However, you can't access the three channels 3 and 4 unless, as mentioned, the extra CDJs. But I will not use the extra XDJ controller because again, it's like totally unoriginal. So yeah, and before I put out the video, I'm gonna ask this question: why did he put the tempo slider all the way down? Like, in case you're wondering, if you put the slider down, it'll go fast. But if you put the slider up, it's like makes it slower. If you go on the way top, it'll stop. So yeah. Fucking hell.
There aren't dual layers to the players, so this hasn't been designed for the bedroom DJ that wants an all-in-one unit and 4 channels. This has been designed way more with clubs, bars, event spaces in mind, because it works if you plug a laptop in and you're a Recordbox DJ, it works if you plug a laptop in and you're a Serato DJ, and it also works if you just plug your USB stick in. So it's an all-in-one unit in that sense. It's perfect for those bars that maybe can't afford a full Nexus CDJ setup and that have resident DJs that are working off different platforms. I just want to also mention that Serato compatibility is coming early 2020. So this review is going to focus on the USB capabilities and the Rekordbox DJ capabilities. When I get the full build of Serato DJ, the final release, I will do a full breakdown again on how this thing works with Serato 2. So look out for another video coming soon on that. Let's now take a closer look at how this thing works, and remember to stick around to the end to hear more of my opinions about this unit, where it sits in the market, its price, and I'd love to hear at the end what you think in the comments as well. Please remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, do all of that good stuff to help us keep making more videos and reviews just like this one. Let's get stuck in. The XDJ-XZ features an XLR and RCA master out and jack booth output. It also has 3 link ports on the back for Pro DJ link setups, one for plugging in a laptop and the other 2 for CDJs and channels 3 and 4. The USB port on the back is for connecting your laptop to use this in HID mode as a controller for Serato or Rekordbox. There is an unbalanced send for plugging in something like the DJS-1000, which then returns back to the aux input. There are also line and phono inputs for channels 3 and 4, as well as 2 combi mic inputs. First of all, let's look at how the XDJ-XZ works when just plugging a USB into one of the 2 USB slots up here at the top. If you're a USB DJ, then you need to think of this unit as a 2-channel unit until you add external players to control decks 3 and 4 or external samplers to make use of channels 3 and 4. The USB just plugs in at the top. You can record your sets using the master record, which is how we're recording this right now, what you're hearing, so you can hear the quality as well there. Up at the top we have a very typical CDJ style screen, which has all the browse features and functionality of nearly every CDJ that's currently floating around on the market that's available. So we can do things like choose USB 2 to access this USB. You can go and sort through your USB by artist, album, track, playlist, all those sort of things. These are all menus and options that you can set up and change within the Rekordbox export mode of the software on your laptop. You can also prepare playlists and export them to a USB drive, such as here. We've got house music, for example. Now, if I just load something onto the left and the right hand deck, I can go back to browse, load something else onto the left deck as well. You'll notice that we get a nice bit of information in the center of these new mechanical jog wheels. These are upgraded from the XDJ-RX2, which were just touch capacitive, much smaller. These are pretty much exactly the same as CDJs. However, this screen has been updated to keep in line with things like the DJJ-1000 and 1000 SRT. We'll get into them very shortly. Just going to some of the basic features. We've got our typical cue and play buttons, exactly the same as on CDJs. We've got track search, track fast forward and rewind, really basic features. We've got a full size tempo adjust to adjust the tempo faster and slower. There's a master tempo, which is the key lock button. So if you come faster, you can lock the key of the song, or slower. You can change the width of the tempo using this tempo width here from plus or minus 6 to 10% to 16% and to wide, which is 100% faster and slower. A lot of the other common features, things like you've got a reverse button, which I know hardly any DJs use, but it's there still. We've got loop functions and the memory cue calls and performance pads, which I'm going to get into a little bit more shortly. Moving over to the mixer, we have a 3-band EQ, which is a minus 26 dB, or isolator EQ, which can be changed in the utility, which is located up here on the XDJ-XZ by holding menu. There are loads of utilities in there that we're going to look at shortly, but that's where you would change how the EQs work. We have trim controls, basic up faders, crossfader channel assign for scratch DJs wanting to cut in and out, or if you want to use a crossfader to mix and blend, those assigns can be done there. We've got headphone controls with a 1/4 inch and an 1/8 inch jack on the front, both with a level and a master cue mix, so you can preview the master in your headphones as well and blend it with the headphone cues here. Each of the channels has a sound color effects knob. This can be activated by any of these 6 effects here. Filter being a common one. We have a low pass filter, high pass filter, and all of these sound color effects can actually be manipulated with the parameter. So you can change with the filter, for example, the resonance. So if we put it here, turn it up a bit, we get a much flatter response, or much more resonance on it. And all of these sound quality effects can be adjusted with the parameter. Let's just have a quick listen. A distortion effect called crush. White noise uplift and downlift. Change the volume there. We've got a sweep effect where you can pick out a frequency with the parameter. And down, if you go down on the sweep effect to the low, this is actually a gate effect. It's not labeled though. Dub echo works post fader, and so does space. We're going to talk about the beat effects very shortly. This is one of the bigger upgrades from the previous XDJ-RX2, so we're going to come back to that. But let's move back over to the decks on the player. These mechanical jog wheels can be adjusted using the jog adjust. If you like a heavy response or a light response, this will change how much tension is applied to the jog wheel. This means that when you're nudging in the mix, it's not going to run away from you, or if it's light, you can create nice long backspins. The jog wheels can have vinyl mode turned on and off via these buttons here. You'll have a nice blue light that lights up in the center ring to tell you that vinyl mode is activated, especially useful for any scratch DJs. In the center of the jog wheels, we can see lots of information, such as an overview waveform. We can see the time remaining, or we can probably change that to the time elapsed. We've got the percentage and BPM. We've also got the key of the song.
Yeah, so as mentioned on CDJ-3000, which is my first ever YouTube video in this channel, there was like two separate material. Like this part is like different type of like grass or something, and then there's another type of grass that's not part of this. Oh, during my outro, it's also like you know, I know what's going on. It's Pro. It's actually Nano Pro DJ. If I haven't said that already, you know, I tend to forget things, so that's my fault. Anyway.
And you just got a really nice visual of what's going on in the music. You also have a needle position marker as well. So as the track's playing, you can see that the needle is scrolling around, and there's a red one there, and that is our cue point. If we have hot cues set, you can jump to a hot cue and you can see the needle position of that hot cue. So this is good for any scratch DJs, turntablist style DJs that want to use these jog wheels in a more turntablism style way. If you're beat juggling, you know where you're coming back to nice and clearly. It's a much more defined point on the jog wheel with this kind of marker. The XDJ-XZ has typical features like sync function, so you can sync one track to another. It also has your loop modes just at the top. So we've got manual loop mode here where we can set an in point and an out point. You can chop it in half using this loop cutter underneath.
I was just looking at the OBS and this up here. I love the fact they're like perfectly in sync. Like I have desktop audio and it's in sync with this.
Great for build-ups. You can exit the loop using reloop and exit.
Well, kind of, but when I pause the video, or well, no, if I pause the video, it will not like go up at all, even though there's this right here. Like, yeah.
Pressing this button without a loop active will set a 4-beat loop, or if we hold the button without it active, it will set an 8-beat loop. Again, tapping it while it's active will just chop it down. So will these two arrows, we can chop the loop down or double it this way as well. Just underneath, slip mode is another performance feature. When active, you can pretty much do anything with the song and it will jump back to where it would have previously been before you did anything. So for example, with slip mode active, we could do little scratches and it would keep playing underneath. We could hit hot cues and it will jump while we hold the hot cue. to that point in the song and then jump back. You could do a reverse by holding reverse and then letting go. At the bottom we have the performance pads. Now there are 4 different modes available when using USB. First mode is hot cue. You can set hot cues throughout the song, and you can even set a loop and then save a loop like we have here. If you want to set up a new hot cue, you can just press any while the track is active and it will set up a hot cue. You can hold shift to delete. The next mode is beat loop. Here we can go from 32 beats, 16 beats, 8 beats, 4 beats, 2, 1, half and a quarter beat in loop length. These just toggle on and off. These are auto loops if you prefer to use auto loops rather than the manual loop up here. These things all work, all of the performance pad modes and the manual looping all work with deck quantize, which you can find here. This can be turned on and off, so when it's off, you can hit a hot cue as fast as possible. When it's on, it will do it within a restrained amount, so that is a 1 beat quantized loop, quantized length. You can change that setting by tapping shortcut, and the quantized beat value is here for the deck. So if we had it on an 8th, it'll do it every 8th, every half beat. It tries to lock it to the nearest half beat or 1 beat. Moving on, we've got slip loop. This is a temporary loop that basically rolls the song, and then when you undo it, it jumps back into the song somewhere else. So if we held this pad, it would do 2 beats, and then when we let go, it jumps back into the song. 1 beat, half, quarter, 8th, 16th. This is great for little build-ups and some flair on the track while you're mixing. The 2 white ones indicate a third and 3/4. So you've got to be careful with those ones, but you can start getting creative with those different lengths. Next we have beat jump. Now there are different coloured pads here to indicate different lengths of beat jump. The bottom 2.
I was just stretching and my chair just moved while I was stretching. It scared me. Anyway. And I also hit my microphone with my elbow, so I apologize for that. Anyway.
Which is the largest beat jump we can do, is 8 beats forwards and backwards. And it will jump through the track at 8 beats at a time. Next one is 4 beats left and right, 2 beats and 1 beat left and right. Beat jump also works with loop active, so you could have a loop active and you could jump to chop up a song and do something more interesting with it. The last of the performance features right here on the decks are the cue and loop memory options. So if you set up any cue point in the song, let's say you wanted to mix from this position, you could set then a memory point and it would store that in the memory. I've got another one saved if I just toggle forwards. I've also got a loop set in the memory position. So then when the track's paused, I can toggle between those 2 points really easily and think, I want to start my track from here, and I can cue up from there without having to scroll through the track and set up a cue point every time I load it. So there are the memory and cue loop options. Just while I'm talking about them, I found something really nice on this unit. If you were to load a song, say let me try load a different one, but load it by clicking the browse button, you can scroll down to cue loop list, and what it'll do is it will load it into the cue loop list, and what you can have is a long list of cue loops. So let me just go back there, and then I set on 1-2 steps some cue loops. If I click it, cue loop list, you'll see now I've got a list. I've got one song starting at the start, I've got another song with the cue point at 1:39, and then I've got this song again with a loop at that time as well. So you could jump through different songs at different parts, but have like a playlist of different parts of different songs, which is really cool. You know, I could have this one loaded on this side, I could go back, I could go to my cue loop list, load another one on this side, and it's jumped straight to that point in the track, ready to mix. And I can mix them both together straight away from that point. It's nice and quick. So that's something that is I haven't seen before, but the cue/loop list, great addition. Heading back over to the mixer section of the unit. Now, the beat effects is one of those things that is quite a big upgrade compared to the XDJ-RX2. There's quite a few more things we can work with here. So this, if you are thinking about a potential upgrade, then this would be one of those deciding factors if you feel like you could make use of this in your sets and it's going to enhance your DJ sets. Now, the beat effects, all of the bottom section works as normal, so you can choose your different effects here. If you're used to using Pioneer equipment, you can choose the channels from your crossfader assigns to the microphones, even to the aux, and then to all 4 channels and the master. Let me put it on channel 2 for now. We can change the time, which is the length in milliseconds of the effect, and then we can put the level up and down, turn the effect on and off. Now, the beat fractions will allow you to choose different beat fractions from, say, like a 16th of a beat up to 1 beat and beyond. If I put it on one like, let's have Helix, for example, this is a new effect that isn't on the RX2, but it's on like the DJM900 Nexus 2, so it's inherited from there. So the track playing, you can hear how that sounds. We can change the beat fraction, and it does some mad effects. It kind of pitches it up and down. Now the X pad above, if all of these parameters aren't lit up and there's like an arrow in the middle that's lit up left to right, like shown here, you could change how it sounds, how that particular effect reacts and sounds. So you get some really crazy things going on with the Helix, for example. However, if we were to go to say something like an echo where they're all lit up, this means we can jump to the different parameter lengths. The X-Pad also works, you don't have to turn the effect on via the button. You can just pop your finger on one of the fractions. As long as the level's up, it will activate that effect, and let go, it will deactivate, and you'll notice that from it flashing. This is also particularly useful if you want to have, say, an echo at 3/4 and then drop it straight away down to a 16. You don't have to use the beat fractions anymore to go toggle and toggle through them. The effects also have a quantize button here. You have the auto and tap modes, and then you can tap the effect at a different BPM if you want. And then another new thing compared to the XDJ-RX2, for example, is the FX frequency. This is found on some of the latest Pioneer mixers, and now we've got it in this all-in-one unit. So the FX frequency allows you to apply any of the effects to different frequencies. So if I turn off the low and the mid, for example, and just leave high on, I could apply an echo or a spiral or a ping pong or something just to the higher frequencies. Let me go further into the track where there's also bass. Now you can hear it's just applying to those top frequencies. If I put them back on just to show the difference. Put a different effect on, try something else. And that's really nice. It's a really cool way to just isolate certain sounds and then apply effects to them. Then if you want to take this unit and make the most of all 4 channels, you can use the channel 3 input and channel 4 input to select something like a line source or a phono source, depending on whether you want to use CDJs, XDJs, sampler players, or even turntables. You could have a 4-deck setup with 2 turntables and 2 digital sources from the USB very easily. If you are a bar owner or a club owner that already has CDJs or XDJs in their venue and upgrade to this, you'll just be able to add those extra players into channels 3 and 4, and then you've got a 4-deck setup pretty easily with this all-in-one unit. But to access all 4 channels,
usually the mixer, separate mixers like 1, 2, 3, 4, and also you can see is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is one deck, and this is deck number 1, and this is deck number 2. And you'll be like, where's deck number 3, deck number 4 in this? Well, you can add 3 and 4 using turntables or or the extra CDJs. I actually thought of buying this and get the CDJ-3000s in there. And this was before the AZ and the 3000X came out. And as mentioned, I was thinking about using the AZ for every festivals and all that, because I've seen online that that the XDJ-AZ, I don't know about the XC, but the AZ is compatible also with festivals like Tomorrowland or whatnot, maybe. But anyway, yeah. So
just within the unit itself, without adding anything extra to it, you will need to have a laptop plugged in and use a laptop software such as Serato or Rekordbox. There is also an aux here, which if you wanted to use the send on the back of the unit, you can use something like the DJS-1000 sampler, and you can use the send, and then the return comes back into the aux, and you can have another channel even on top of 4 channels with that going on as well, so that's worth noting. Because this works with Pro DJ Link and there are Ethernet ports on the back, if you do decide to have external players that also support Pro DJ Link, such as CDJs or XDJs, plugged in, you can use the Ethernet cable to go into the Ethernet port on the back for deck 3 and 4, and it will send the information between all 4 decks. So if you wanted to sync a CDJ into this unit, that will work as well. Or if you wanted to even plug a...
Oh, I forgot about this. They're smaller than the 2000X2. These are the CDJ-2000, not 2000X2, the 2000. These are the predecessor of the CDJ-2000X2. And man, they've been around for so long. Yeah, I don't know what to say, but yeah. And I don't like the fact how small they are. Like the CDJ-2000X2 with the DGM-V10. I would rather XDJ-AZ. I would rather XD and the CDJ-3000. Like, anyway.
USB into a separate CDJ or XDJ. You can read it on the controller here by just navigating through your browse features and actually accessing the music from that player on this unit. So that's a neat feature too. Now let's look at how this works if you were to plug a laptop into it. As mentioned, we're going to show the Serato side of this in a separate video when the final build's been sent to us, but for now let's look at Rekordbox. So all you need to do is take a USB cable and plug it into the back of the unit. Then there are 2 sides to the Rekordbox software. You've got export mode and performance mode. So on export mode, you could use it just as basically like a really big USB drive or an SD card, for example. So by plugging it in, you can click the Rekordbox button on the actual unit.
I don't say the SD card port unless like in this area, like this back part. But yeah. Oh, anyway. Open
up Rekordbox export mode, and then what will happen is we will get this link button pop up. When you press link, it will link the Rekordbox export mode into the player, and as you can see now, I've got all my tracks just like I've got a USB plugged in, and I can go in and load music this way, and you'll see that this now plays from the laptop. It doesn't scroll up and down your laptop, it doesn't change anything that you see on your laptop really, it's just internally pulling the songs and linking it all together. If you want to use it in performance mode, which you can do, you can switch the layer of the software over to performance mode. Let me just say I want to disconnect for a link. And then after it's disconnected, I can go into performance mode. Now, this is where you would click link, not record box. It can sometimes be a bit confusing, but if we click link here, we can choose to load deck 1. And I'm going to link deck 2 as well. So press link again, and then it's flashing, push load to load deck 2. Now, this pretty much is the same as when it's in standalone mode with USB. However, now you have the laptop.
I'm curious about like CDJs. I wonder like sometime future generations that they'll have, of course, the screen on top and then performance pass down here. Spoiler alert, the Denon DJ ST6000s that are like basically competitors of the CDJs have like basically like CDJ 3000 and the 3000X have like B ports up here. They have those down here, and they'll be like exactly like the like this. Like you have hot cues, they have maybe not beat loop, I don't know, but slip loop, I think they have that, but who knows.
Laptop software, you can actually access all 4 decks and use all 4 channels just with your laptop plugged in. So to do that, switch channel 3 input to the laptop. You'll see that the external inputs disappeared. Channel 4 to external to the laptop icon. And then all we need to do to access decks 3 and 4 is double tap shift. You'll see on the screen it goes from deck 1 to deck 3, and we can just load a song using load 1 and 2, but just load it to the left hand side or the right hand side. And all we need to do is click the load 1 or 2, and as you can see, there we have deck 3. Double tap, there we have deck 1, and you can play them both together. I could sync them together. And then they will both work together.
Be right back. Okay, never mind. It's just that was coming in. That was going to use the restroom. I have there's another bathroom that's right in front of that's right in the doorway to my room. So yeah.
And you can do the same on the opposite side. Deck 2, deck 4. Realistically, the only other things that are a bit different when plugging into a laptop and record box is obviously you can use the browse to browse through your library, and it actually moves on the screen, and it affects what it looks like on your laptop compared to that Pro DJ Link in export mode. And then the performance pad modes change slightly as well. So hot cue is hot cue, that's fine. Beat loop is beat loop, but when we go to slip loop, this turns to pad effects on the laptop. Beat jump is beat jump, and that's fine. Now we have some shift functions. Hold shift, press hot cue, and you can access keyboard mode. Hold shift, press beat loop. You can access key shift mode. Hold shift and press slip loop, and you access pad effects number 2. Other than that, there isn't really much difference when you're plugging into record box than when you're playing on a USB, apart from obviously you can access all 4 channels. But I would say if you really want to make the most of DJ software like Serato or Recordbox, and you're not bothered about the standalone capability, then look at some of the controllers like DDJ-1000 or DDJ-1000 SRT, for example. They have all of these performance features and more at a much cheaper price bracket, but you can't plug a USB in, so that's the difference. Up at the top, we have some global features, such as we have 2 mic channels that you can plug into. There are levels for each mic channel, plus a 3-band EQ independently for each mic. I've got this mic that you can hear plugged into number 1. As you can see, something that's quite nice, you get this signal light up when you're hearing signal through the mic, so you can even check that there's level coming through with the level down, so you can mic check almost that way. You can also see that there's a clip light, which is really good. If you turn this mic right up, you can see it's warning me, it's saying it's too loud and it sounds distorted, and I get the clipping there. You also have that over here on the master.
That's awesome. They should do that on DGMs and whatnot. Sorry.
So you've got a clip icon that will flash if you've turned the master up too loud. Again, great for venues if you're putting this in your venue. Moving back to the mics, we've got a talk over, which we can turn on and off, so it will dip the volume of the music. You can independently turn each mic on and off as well. The feedback reducer, this is something that was added to the DDJ-800 in a software feature in Rekordbox, where the Pioneer are trying to reduce how much feedback is going into a microphone in a live setting in a loud environment. You can turn this on and off and turn it from light to heavy. We tried to test it in our studio setup here, but we've only got little KRK Rocket speakers, and you have to get really close to them for this to even work, and it's a bit of an extreme situation to put the microphone in anyway. But that's something that maybe a lot of mobile DJs will appreciate, especially if they're handing microphones to and from guests at an event or a party. That's something to really check out and test. Then moving back over to the master level, something quite new for Pioneer is they've added a 3-band EQ to the master. So if you're playing in a venue and you're a DJ, you've probably rocked up to a venue before as a working DJ, and sometimes club sound systems, they're not always set up great. Sometimes they might be way too bass heavy, there may be way too much low end on the system, and you might need to take a bit of low end out, or vice versa, boost it slightly, and you don't want to have to do that on the channels really. So then this is where the master EQ comes in. You can boost or take away certain EQs, and that can sort of shape the overall sound system. You've also got your booth level as standard here, so you can put booth monitors into this, and we're back to the USB inputs where you can record, and you can even record your sets through there, whether you're using Rekordbox in performance mode or whether you've just got USBs plugged in like I have now. I mentioned earlier on in the review that I would jump into the utility of the XDJ-XZ, and that's an important thing to show. So if I just hold the menu button, I can go into the player's utilities. There's so many settings in here that are worth sort of being aware of. You've got loads of deck settings. I'm just going to run through them. We've got load lock, so that you don't accidentally load a song onto a track that's playing. You've got needle lock. You can change the quantized beat value, which you could in the shortcut as well. Hot cue auto load, hot cue color we could turn on so that instead of them just being all green, they can be multicolored. Auto cue level, slip flashing, on-air display, jog display mode. This was something that I didn't even realize. The jog display mode, which is what shows up in the center here, you can change. So at the moment it's on info, but if I just turn it and put it on simple, suddenly we only get a bit of album artwork. I can turn it again, put it on artwork, it makes the artwork bigger. So if you want your logos nice and big there, you'll have to put your logo into the album artwork of whatever tracks you're playing with. Or we can go onto auto, and it just chooses what it thinks is best. But when I got this unit, it was on auto, and I knew that it should show more information. I was trying to figure out how, but there it is, info. And I much prefer this layout. Going down, we've got jogging brightness. We can change in the brightness of all of the different things like the performance pads and the jog wheels. So depending on what setting you've got this in and what environment, you can sort of change it to your setting and your environment to make it look better. Vinyl speed adjust. This changes how the vinyl speed here works. So if we've got a track playing, the vinyl speed adjust is on. It slowly comes to a stop. But if we put it on...
Ooh, I know this before. I don't remember where, but yeah.
Touch and release, it'll slowly come to a start as well. If I change it just to touch, it means it will slowly stop.
Oh, final speed adjust. Okay. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
But then start straight away. Moving down, we've got auto play mode, which is off, so it'll stop tracks just playing one after another. We've got the mixer mode, so equalizer curve. We can have minus 26 dB, or we can have an isolator, which total kills those EQs. Channel fader curves, crossfader curve, they're all found in here. So if you're a scratch DJ, you're going to want to change this curve to a sharp cut. Master equalizer. You can have the EQ affect both the master and the booth out. So if you are changing this, you're hearing it in the booth, what it's going to sound like to the audience as well, which is quite nice. Master attenuator, booth monitor attenuator, peak limiter. So you can have this limiter inbuilt on, especially if you've got this in a club environment. Mic out to booth. You can decide whether you want your mics to go to the DJ booth speakers or not. talk over mode. You can change how the talk over responds, whether it's really abrupt or whether it's more soft. Talk over level, headphones mono stereo split. Like, there are so many options in here that you can really change and make this setup work for you and your environment. USB output level, you've got the channel 3 and 4 control tones. So if you're using DVS, which you'll have to pay to upgrade to.
DVS, what does that stand for? Oh, I'm not going to look it up right now, but yeah.
But you can use DVS expansion with Recordbox or Serato, but you can choose whether you want it as a phono source or a line source, and that's done in the settings. You've also got general settings. You can change the language in here. You can change the pad and button brightness. You can change the LCD brightness, the jog LCD brightness, so everything can be changed, which is really nice. You can turn the screensaver on and off. You can calibrate the touch display, auto standby, turn that on and off, and then you've got your firmware version there as well. So when you update the firmware, you can keep track of where you're at with updates. I just wanted to go through all them. I know it takes a little bit of time to go through them all, but it's well worth knowing about all of those different settings, because it's one of those units that you're going to be, different DJs are going to be buying it for different environments, whether it is just a bedroom setup or whether it is in a bar or a club or an event space. You might want to change a lot of settings depending on who is going to be using this unit. Also, it's worth showing that you can control video on this touch screen here as well. So if you've got the video mode activated within Recordbox performance mode and you've got your laptop plugged in, you can press the menu button when you're on browse, and then you get the video control mode. So you can start to control, like play the slideshow, stop the slideshow. You can add all these effects in there, and you can favorite things and do all sorts just with the video controls as well, all on the touch screen, which again, if you're a wedding DJ, for example, you might have slideshows you need to play or text you want to put up, and it can be controlled there from, obviously, from your laptop as well.
So this is basically like at festivals like Tomorrowland, they're like people that does like shows. Well, I mean, the main stage, not really, but if it's like the Freedom stage at Tomorrowland, then yeah, that I totally get. In case you don't know, the Freedom stage is basically like you go in and yeah, and you get to see DJs perform there. It also has visuals and all that, and nights, of course.
Don't do that off just the USB. You need a laptop plugged in. And there we have it, an in-depth look at the XDJ-XZ from Pioneer. As you can tell, this product has been designed way more with bars and clubs and event spaces in mind. I would say if you're a DJ that wants all singing, all dancing controller and happy to use a laptop, then look at some of the DJ controllers like the DJ-1000 or 1000 SRT, whether you're a Recordbox or Serato user. If you're a USB user, then this is the top of the range product, but just remember that you won't be able to access all 4 decks. If you want to mix some turntables with this, then that's great. You can use all 4 channels and have 2 digital, 2 analog, or you could save up and actually get some external players as well, like XDJs or CDJs. Now imagine if you're a bar or club owner and you want to upgrade your setup. This is a great option because you probably already have 2 CDJs that are probably already Pro DJ Link, there's already Pro DJ Link available on them. So you could turn your...
Hold on, I need to use the restroom. And my setup is close to the bathroom, so I'm going to pause. I'll BRB. Alright, I'm back. And once I play this, you might see basically a replay. That's because I accidentally pressed play before I unpause. So, the recording, of course.
There's already Pro DJ Link available on them. So you could turn your booth into a 4-deck booth quite easily by buying this product and keeping the CDJs you currently have. Now, it is quite a big product, as you can see here. So it depends on the size of DJ booths in various bars and clubs as well. You might have to then start mounting CDJs, but that's something to bear in mind. This product comes in at £1,899 or €2,199 or $2,299. So it is quite a steep price. Obviously, it is quite a unique product, something that works with a wide range of mediums and softwares, as in Serato, Recordbox, USB. There's a bit of functionality going on there for a lot of different styles of DJs. I don't see this as a product that a lot of bedroom DJs are really going to jump on, because you can get way more for your money with some of the top end controllers if you're happy to use a laptop at home. But those USB DJs, I can see a few of them getting these at home and enjoying playing on these, hopefully in some bars and clubs in their local cities. Whether you're a resident DJ, you might be nudging your manager to get something like this so that all the resident DJs that play different nights of the week can all feel comfortable on this all-in-one setup. This is especially helpful if you're a Serato DJ user, so when this gets announced and released in 2020 with Serato DJ, you can just plug and play. It's just a dongle, so you don't even need a Serato license. You just have to download Serato, plug it in, and it unlocks Serato for you. So that's another plus on that front.
Pretty good deal, huh? Yeah.
I would have personally liked to have seen some sort of dual layer capability so that one USB could play across all 4 channels. Unfortunately, that's not the case with this product. Maybe something in the future. Who knows? Let's wait and see. I would have also liked to have seen a bit of an upgrade when it comes to the screens functionality. This is the same screen that is in the XDJ-RX2, so I think there could have been an upgrade there as well with much more touchscreen capability. But
that looks similar. Yeah. It can be also like the 2000X, the CDJ-2000X too. Yeah.
Still, it works well, and it's like any other Pioneer product. It feels good, it feels responsive, it feels well built, and it feels robust. So, you know, swings and roundabouts. If you already own an XDJ-RX2 and are thinking about an upgrade, then what I'd say is if the new beat effects is attractive to your style of DJing and the mic channels or the EQ on the master is attractive to your setup, then they're probably the main things that would warrant you upgrading. Everything else is very similar. It is quite a big, heavy product for those extra channels. You do have the option to play things like turntables or extra CDJs on an XDJ-RX2, but just not at the same time because you've only got 2 channels. So if you did want to expand your setup at home, then maybe this is a due upgrade. But if you're happy just mixing 2 channels, then maybe the XDJ-RX2 is for you. I'd love to know what you think in the comments below. Let me know, let Pioneer know. I'm sure they're going to be reading the comments. If you've enjoyed this review, please remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, do all of that good stuff to help us keep making more review videos like this and bringing this kind of content. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in another review very soon.
All right. So of course I'm not going to do the XDJ-RX2, but I will do the RX3, which is next generation of the RX series. So yeah. And obviously I did a AZ, then after the RX, then after RX3 I'll go to the DDJ series. After that will be DDJ Flex 4. And I'm not going to say what it is, you know, obviously spoilers. So anyway, if you like this video, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, so you'll be more aware of my future videos. Have a beautiful morning or night, depending on, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye-bye. I was going to say bye-bye when I turn my camera off, but whatever. Oh, it's not. Yeah, whatever.